people. It's the second week of September, and the weather's getting cooler outside, although today's an awesome day in southwestern Ontario. Yeah, I have some houseplant chores to do, so I have to get this in order before it gets too crazy out there. So there's a number of things going on today that I just quickly want to tell you about. I want to, usually at the end of summer, I end up dumping the plants that I had in arrangements outside. And this year I want to try to save some of them. These are arrangements that my wife had put together. We just got these dollar store tin pots type of things. I just drilled some holes in the bottom, and she made some arrangements. Anyways, these are called spider plants, these particular ones. I forget the name of these guys, but they're both tropical plants. The last couple days in the nighttime was cool, so that's why they got kind of burnt. But up until that, they were doing well. This one even shot out, babies. So I'm going to try to save these, bring them inside for overwinter, and if I can, maybe propagate the babies. I've had horrible experience taking in plants that were outside for the summer before, but I've taken some precautions, and there's extra precautions I'm going to take. I've used insecticidal soap on all of these. They've been thoroughly drenched and sprayed, and I am repotting them. So I'm taking them out of the pots. So any bugs or creepy crawlies that were in there hopefully will get eliminated when I pot them up into, I'm just going to use my tropical mix, my soil mix, and pot them up into new plants. And I'll probably keep them separate from the other plants downstairs in the basement under the mini grow lights there for like, I don't know, a couple weeks maybe. See how they do, and hopefully they do well. I'm doing the same thing with the Depedelia. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I thought these were Mandevilla, but I've now since learned the difference between the two. Mandevilla more grows like a vine, and these guys more grow like a bush. They send out vines like the Mandevilla, but they tend to cascade over. They don't climb up like the Mandevilla will. And Mandevilla has bigger leaves. But did the same thing with these. Sprayed them down with soap, actually dug them out. These were in like tall iron urns, potted urns in the backyard. And I dug them out. I'm going to repot them as well and see how they do. What I've learned from these, or from my understanding, is they go dormant even in their preferred climate because they're a tropical plant. But what is it? October to I think April, they go dormant, and they won't really come back until the temperatures get much warmer. Even if they're inside, they know that it's their time to go dormant. And apparently when they go dormant, it's really drastic. They'll drop all of their leaves, and the plant will look like it's dead. But it's actually okay. The people that overwinter these inside, they usually just cut them back drastically and leave them in a pot and put it in the cold room. And they're just checking like every month and a half, 2 months, to make sure that it hasn't dried out in the pot too much. But yeah, they go crazy dormant. So I'm going to see what's going to happen. I'm also going to try to take some of the tips to see if I can propagate from there. So we'll see where that goes as well. Speaking of bugs and fungus gnats and all that, I had already explained about, especially if you're doing seed starts inside, and how you should sterilize the seedling soil so you don't get the fungus gnats. If you have houseplants that you bring from a store or just using regular potting mix, like the orchid mix or the houseplant mix that I have, you can't really sterilize that because you're killing the beneficial nutrients that are microorganisms that are in the soil. So in cases like that, with regular houseplants, you still tend to get those little flies, which are really annoying. What I've been doing this year is I have these. These are these electric bug zappers, tennis racker things. They're battery operated. This one's a little bit more fancy because it has a rechargeable base. Just uses as a USB charger, and it has several modes. So when you turn it on, you just press the button when you're swiping at the fly or whatever, and it kills it. But in another mode, if you can see, it has these blue lights that are going around it. So just leaving it in the base like that will attract flying bugs to it. And trust me, it works. Kind of freaks me out sometimes in the middle of the night. I hear a loud zap, zap, crackle coming from the living room. Because what I've been doing is keeping this plugged in near the houseplants. So I have had none, if any, fungus gnats to worry about from the houseplants. Not these particular ones. Like I said, these come from outside. But I have a monstera inside. There's the bromeliad and a couple other, the croton, a couple other plants. Anyways, keeping this in that area where I have the plants, it's done an amazing job. And I know it's working because, like I said, I hear zaps every now and then. And when I do vacuuming, you can see the little dead flies on the ground, the ones that haven't totally obliterated and exploded. So this was an Amazon purchase. I think I got 2 of them together in a bundle for $30. I'll put the link down below. You can check it out. But it's a pretty cool alternative to those yellow sticky tabs that you can put in the plants. Sticky paper, they're like fly paper that you can put in the plants. That kind of works as well, but I found this more effective and more satisfying every time you hear the zap. It's a pretty cool thing. The other thing that I will be repotting or have to do are these orchids. A friend of ours came to visit a few months ago and brought us this lovely orchid, which is actually 2 orchids, and they've done flowering and stuff like that. And now I want to try to repot it. I thought this was just one pot, but as I took away the lichen or moss on top, I realized, don't know if you can see that, it's actually 2 small plastic containers in here that they stuffed into, there you go. Actually, I think it was 3 originally that they stuffed into the nice pot on the outside. So I'm going to take it out, cut away any bad roots, repot it with the orchid mix, and see if I can keep it going. You don't know if you've heard of that method of just putting ice cubes on the orchids. And I heard that from my mother-in-law a few years ago. And it seemed to work somewhat for keeping the orchids alive, but in the long run it doesn't really do a great job. Which makes sense because orchids are tropical. They're not designed to handle ice. So putting ice cubes on there and letting it drain through that way, not necessarily a good idea. So what I'm going to do, like I said, I'm going to repot it using the orchid mix. But I am going to use, they're going to have their individual pots, and they're going to be in see-through, transparent planting pots. So the method I'm going to use to water, to see if it does any better, and maybe even sprout flowers again, is to water it once every week or a week and a half. And the way I'm watering it is probably just going to soak it in water for maybe 5 minutes or so. Take the pot out of the water, let it drain completely, and then put it back into the fancy pot. Because I'm not going to leave it in a transparent pot, so I'll probably have something nice like this for each individual pots. And try it that way and see how it goes. I'm also going to go get back on my fertilizing regimen. I have literally not fertilized any of my house plants this year, and it's been kind of sad. So with fertilizing and everything like that, hopefully, number one, I want the plant to survive, and number two, as a bonus, if I can get it to flower again, that'll be awesome. I've also learned that orchids also require a certain dormant period. You can't be forcing it to flower all the time because the plant is actually under stress, which makes sense. Most plants aren't designed to be in flower all of its life. They usually have a rest period or a dormancy period where they're not flowering. So we're going to take a look at that and see where it goes. I'm somewhat optimistic, cautiously optimistic about how that will go. Always liked orchids, and it's always been a struggle. Not just me, almost everybody I know, trying to keep these things alive. So we're going to try a few things. The pothos. I was telling you I was going to do another pothos video. And I still want to. Did that just come off? The little baby came off. Son of a gun. Okay, I'm going to try to put that in some water, see if I can do something with that. That just came off the vine. Son of a gun. Anyways, back to the pothos. I've learned a few things since the last pothos video, and I'm going to try a few things as well. Firstly, this one and this one are not from my cuttings. These were Home Depot end of season finds, which were awesome because originally they were like $12 each, and this was reduced to $5 each. So this was awesome. I think this one has about 4 plants actually in there. So almost $1 per plant. That's working out to be. And this one's a little bit more tangled, but it's multiple plants in there. So I'll be potting up these. I'm also changing the mix that I used because everything I have here is basically tropical, and almost all of them will do better with the airy orchid soil mix that I have. So yeah, these are just, it's in regular potting soil from what I can see. So I'm going to change that up. I have learned that these little nubs that I was pointing to before when I was explaining that when I propagate, I cut a section and make sure that they have these little nubs on there so that they develop roots from there. Technically right, but not necessarily the kind of roots that you want. These little things that are coming out are not the same type of roots that are in the soil. These are what you call aerial roots, and these are what are used by the plant to climb up. So from my understanding, a vining plant like this, if they have some place to climb up, as they climb and produce more leaves, the leaves will get bigger and bigger. So although I think these are decent sized leaves, I've always been happy with them. This one has smaller variety leaves, but whatever. Potentially these leaves are supposed to get bigger if it has a way to climb. And I'm not just talking about putting a stick of bamboo in there or a plank. I'm talking about a moss pole, which you might have heard of. These are not the pre-made ones that you see in the store, usually like $15-20 for a couple of them. These ones you kind of have to bend into the shape yourself. I will put a link in a picture of what it looks like, and then you fill it with either peat moss, sphagnum moss, or some kind of media. That goes in the pot, so it's going to need a bigger pot. Obviously, I can't do that because it's like a chunky thing like that. And these aerial roots, you put into the holes so that it's in contact with the peat moss or whatever you have in there, and you just use some green tape to keep it together. And you water the moss pole and the plant, and it encourages the roots to grow into the moss and to climb up. So that's what we're going to do. I'll probably do the moss pole with this plant since it's already in the soil and it has aerial roots coming from it. These guys that I put in the water, most of these aerial roots have been in the water, so it doesn't have like roots to go. So these ones I'm going to pot up like normal. This one I'm going to be trying the moss pole with it. If I can find the nubs and do it on this one, I'll do this one as well. And then we'll give it 2 months and we'll see what happens after that. I'm kind of expecting big things about that. Also, speaking of the bromeliad that I have inside and the monstera, both of those are doing pretty well. The bromeliad, I'd mentioned before that it goes through a cycle, like they only last around 6 months. Most people throw them in the garbage after that because they look pretty ratty. But that's what's supposed to happen. And before they die, they start shooting up little pups or sprouts, but they call them pups. And those are ones that you're supposed to take and repot, and that's how you extend the life or propagate from the plant. My bromeliad actually started doing that. I was kind of concerned because, like I said, I haven't done any fertilizing for the houseplants this year, and I was kind of worried the plant was going to die off. But other than the flower dying, it's survived. So that's good. And now it's pushing out a pup, which is awesome. So I am going to wait a little bit longer until hopefully I'll get more than one pup and it's bigger, so I can use that to propagate and start another bromeliad from. So that's kind of exciting too as well. One last thing. I am still unboxing stuff and these seeds, this bag, let me move this over, put you in there. And this bag, I'll talk about those in a second. We're in a box with electronic stuff. So I don't know who put that in there. I'm not going to say it's me. I suspect it's a loved one that was helping us pack. But anyways, no blame, no blame. These are the seeds from the lilac bushes that were in the front of my house in Richmond Hill. And I really wanted some seeds from that bush because those were the kind of legacy plant. They were there almost the entirety of the house. So like 17, anywhere between 12 and 17 years. So I found the seeds. So I'm going to try to see if I could germinate these. This might be a bit of a struggle because everywhere I've seen, most people don't try to germinate lilac seeds because they take several years before they're at a point where you can successfully plant them outside and they'll survive. But we'll see where this goes. So this is the variegated one. This is the one that had the white line on the outside of the purple flowers. And this is just the common purple one. So we'll see where those go. And these are those acorns that I told you guys about from that tree that we removed in the front of the house. That I was saving some acorns because I wanted to try to plant them, you know, to kind of have like a continuation of that tree that we had to take down. And I researched a variety and all that stuff, but I never looked into how to germinate them, and now it's too late for that. These need to go through some kind of stratification before they will germinate. And what that means is they need to go through a dormant cold cycle. And I've had these inside now for way too long. They have not gone through that cycle. I can experiment to see if they're still viable, but I don't think they are. But yeah, I can't just plant these. So I might experiment with a couple of them just to see what will happen. And what's it called? Either stratify them outside. I don't really want to put them in a fridge. I have a fridge that I could put them in, but all it takes is someone trying to be helpful and cleaning out the fridge, and next thing you know, they're in the garbage. So you can just stratify them outside. Literally just put them in a pot Make sure the pot is covered with some kind of wire mesh because squirrels will dig them up. And don't bury them in the soil in the pot. Just keep them on top of the soil in the pot and just leave it outside for the winter. It will go through the stratification that way. And then try to plant them. Like, let snow and stuff cover them and everything like that. Don't try to protect them with a tarp or anything. Just leave them in the pot covered with the mesh. And then try to plant them next spring just to see what will happen. I'm not very encouraged that anything will happen, but you never know. We might be surprised. Anyways, that's a lot of stuff to do. So yeah, I'm going to get cracking. I really hope the spider plant will be saved, and yeah, I'm kind of excited with the pothos because with the pole. So we'll see what happens after 2 months, and yeah, the bulbs from the cana plants or cana plants that I showed you a couple of videos ago, the plants that are like 4 feet tall. I'm going to have to, once the leaves start going yellow and they start to wilt over, I'm going to have to dig up the bulbs and overwinter them inside. First time I've done this with anything, but yeah, they're tropical plants. They're not going to last in the ground over winter. These were actual extra bulbs that were given to us that we never got into the ground. So I'm going to see, and they're literally sitting there growing in the bag. And I'm talking about 2 months or more now that they've been in the bag. So these things are dang hardy. That's flipping amazing. Anyways, I am going to clean these up, and then I'm going to overwinter them in some sawdust. Because since I have a shop, I create a lot of sawdust when I'm making stuff. So the idea is to put it in a container, maybe a shallow one similar to this. Put some sawdust on the bottom, lightly spray it with water so it's slightly damp, and then put the bulbs on top and then cover it with more sawdust. I probably have to look into the process a bit more, but basically that's all I should have to do, and then keep it in a cool, dark place for the winter, and they should be okay. So I'm going to do that with these bulbs and the ones that you can't really see out the window, but they're all the way in the back there. All the way in the back there. Anyways, when I dig up the other bulbs, I'm going to do the same thing with those. So that, yeah, we have more canna plants next year. Okay, late night, but done. These are the canna bulbs that are going to be overwintering in this container. I'm probably going to put it in the outside shed and keep them in there. Another container for the ones I still have to pull later on in the season. And everything done for the most part. Like I say, well, I said I'll see where we go with these. These the Depanephrine. Yeah, the thing that's in the pop-up. They will go into a dormant state and probably lose all their leaves, but the spider plants should be good. I only did one pull for the pothos because this was the only plant that had good nodes on one of the vines that we want to encourage to grow in the pole. So yeah, we'll just see where that goes after 2 months. The rest of them just got potted up as normal. The orchid's looking really good, actually. I have high hopes for those. And, oh, yeah, these ones I'm going to try to propagate. So I put cuttings in a seeding mix, and I've planted the seeds for the lilac. So hopefully we'll get some kind of germination. If not, then, you know, at least we tried. But that is it for now. The other spider plant here, and the other plant. I'm still going to see if I can try to propagate one of these, but that's it for tonight. My back's killing me, and yeah, this has been an extremely long video. And I didn't even cook anything. My goodness. Anyways, have a good night, guys.